Assalamualaikum and very good morning. My name is Farani Shahada. I am the moderator for today. To all audience that attend this forum, welcome to forum today. First of all, I want to express my appreciation to all of the audience members for attending to the discussion. Today, we would like to highlight a topic that is quite interesting to discuss. Is about teenage marriage. Should we discourage teenage marriage? Let's hear a great sharing from our invitation panel. I am sure we all have our own thoughts and opinion on this issue. Today, we have an incredible guest because most of them have a knowledge about this topic. First panel, we have Ustazah Hajat Jamia Masyara, which is a famous teacher. Second panel, we have Dr. Izin Adriana, that is a psychology counselor from Hospital Telang Intan Perak. The last panel is Danny Harriet, student from University Mat Putra, Malaysia. Let's have a look at the data on teenage marriage in Malaysia for 2018. These data are from articles by UNICEF about young marriage. The pie chart on this article illustrates that 83% of the 1,856 children married in 2018 were Muslim, while 70% were non-Muslim. Let us have a look at the differences between a guy and female. In Malaysia, both are affected by teen marriage, with a young girl suffering the effect of the impact. In 2018, 1,900 of underage marriages are female. Let's hear what Ustazah Hajat Damia said about this topic.
Thank you, Moderator Shu. This is the most important advantage of a young marriage. Undoubtedly, a couple who are in love will have a feeling of love and longing that is exaggerated and unbearable. You will always be with them. When that happens, the two of you will start sitting close together, holding hands, then start hugging and kissing. Eventually, you will commit adultery. Why? Getting married early, it will save you and your partner from getting stuck in the valley of adultery. Remember, adultery is one of the great sins and will be the tournament of the hereafter. The Prophet Rasulullah said, "Be aware of adultery. Indeed, for adultery, there are 6 punishments, namely 3 in this world and 3 named in the hereafter. One of them is that God will look at him with wrath. In the view of Islam, a good intention should not be delayed. For example, is a marriage, and do not come near adultery. Adultery is an abomination." This is Surah Al-Isra, verse 32. With marriage, we can prevent the spread of slander and negative views toward teenagers. There are many young people today who are in love to just have fun without thinking about any sin they may have committed. Marriage at a young age is not encouraged due to the factor of being young and not being able to enjoy adolescence and education. But remember that maybe this is a journey arranged by God for them and subtleness in marriage. This is very unexpected by us because getting married is a matter of sunnah done by Prophet Muhammad SAW. I believe that God's plan is the best. And the last, in the world of marriage, husband and wife have responsibilities that need to be carried out well. An example of a husband's responsibility is to be a good family leader. As in the hadith by Ibn Hibban, Allah will ask every leader about what he leads and whether he obeys or leads. In addition, providing maintenance and providing the need of family members as well as possible. Do not forget the various commitments that should be focused on. That responsibility must be carried out with full patience so that it can be example to the children later. The responsibility of a wife is to listen and obey her husband's instruction if they do not violate religious law. In conclusion, A marriage needs to understand each other and needs to have an attitude of cooperation to carry out each other's responsibilities with a feeling of happiness. Yes.
Thank you, Ustazah Hajar Damia Masara. Before we move on to the next panel, I have a few opinions to share about the case of pedophile. This case is rarely heard of, but it is in this world. Pedophile is defined as a person desire to satisfy sexual desire by involving children. Often, pedophile comes from adult men who are sexually attracted to both boys and girls. What I'm trying to say is that marriage at a young age is strongly linked to incidence of pedophile because the majority of the middle-aged males marry women to satisfy their lust. Next, let's hear what Dr. Izin Adriana said about this topic.
Thanks, Shu. I, as a counselor, I disagree if a young person now marries at a young age. It is because marriage in adolescence is not encouraged because it is feared that it will cause internal conflict against a teenager. This is because at the age of 18 and below, a teenager is still in the process of getting to know themselves and their personalities. Besides, at the age, a teenager is going through a process of getting to know himself, learning the meaning of life, such as learning to be resilient, learning to feel depressed, and so on. If they get married at this age, it is feared that it will cause internal conflict, which, in addition to knowing themselves, they will have to take on the challenge of accepting other human beings, fearing it will cause a shock to the teenagers involved. It's not impossible, it's just not encouraged. Therefore, couples who are just a dozen years old generally do not have the experience to face big responsibilities such as getting married and housekeeping. The rate of maturity should be taken into account by those who are young before rushing to the throne.
Thank you, Doctor. Let's hear our last panel opinion, Danny Harris.
In the case of teen marriage, I disagree because for a young age, marriage immaturity will cause their problem because teenagers are still growing up, which means that their behaviors and attitudes can be childish at times. This immaturity might lead to both couples making judgments that are impulsive or ridiculous in perspective. Immaturity can also ruin a marriage by causing the couple to irritate each other with their behaviors. In addition, teen pregnancy will also lead them to having a problem. Other from that, a teen pregnancy will cause them to have a difficult because pregnancy at this age is not always a terrible thing, but it can often result in pressures and consequences that young people are unable to deal with. Teenage marriage has a higher death and disability risk than older women after birth. Pregnancy is the leading cause of death for women aged 15 to 19, with girls younger than 15 being 5 times more likely to die during the birth process than women in their 20s. Furthermore, young pregnancies are risky not just to the mother, but also to the unborn baby. A female body that is immature might lead to problem during childbirth and baby death.
Danny, I'm really sorry for interrupting. I want to add a little bit about Danny's opinion about teen pregnancy. They can get a various disease like HIV and AIDS. Teenagers are also at the dangers of developing HIV and AIDS, which is most commonly transmitted by an older partner with whom they have previously had sexual contact. The research found that 5,000 young girls were infected with HIV each week, and 1 in 7 most recent HIV infection worldwide were adolescent AIDS is also the second leading cause of adolescent death worldwide. Thank you, Danny, for giving me space to talk. You can move on to your next point.
Last but not least, unstable financial. Money problems are a result of a lack of education, as money is not enough to support the family, and it is difficult to find a great job with a high pay salary at such as a young age. This will put them in difficult situations, such as tension and anxiety over how to manage their family. That's it.
In a conclusion, there are several advantages and disadvantages of marrying at a young age. Then we'll wrap up today's forum by thanking our passionate audience. And a big thank you to every one of the panelists who took time to share their knowledge. I hope we all can meet together once again. Thank you. Bye.